On this episode, we look back at the times we've tried to fit into Thai culture but have failed miserably.
So if you've ever done something in Thailand that made you or those around you cringe, you'll love this episode of the Bangkok Podcast.
Sawadee krap! This is the Bangkok Podcast. My name is Greg Jorgensen, a Canadian who came to Thailand in 2001 to ordain as a monk, but I'm not in a rush, so far I've only managed to get the haircut.
a pretty serious haircut.
Yeah, right there.
And I'm Ed Knuth, an American who came to Thailand on a one-year teaching contract almost 25 years ago, fell in love with the classic Thai board game, Is a Coup d'etat impending or not? So I never left.
It's a pretty simple board game. There's only two squares, yes and no.
It's a fun game, though. It gets popular every few years.
That's right.
All right, we want to give a big thanks to all of our patrons who support the show. Patrons get every episode a day early, behind-the-scenes photos of our interviews, a heads up to send questions to upcoming guests, and access to our Discord server to chat with me, Greg, and other listeners around the world. But best of all, patrons also get an unscripted, uncensored bonus episode every week where we riff on current events and Bangkok topics. On this week's bonus show, we chatted about Greg's ongoing archery lessons, which saw him finally shoot an arrow after 1 year of practicing the proper stance. Patience, Greg. My surprisingly successful attempts at using AI to create an app that helps me learn Thai, believe it or not. And a discussion about a woman who was busted with 80,000 sexy photos on her phone of her with several senior monks throughout Thailand. Quite the scandal. To learn how to become a patron and get all this good stuff, plus full access to over 800 bonus and regular back episodes, click the support button at the top of our website.
Right, and as always, if you have a comment, show idea, or just want to say hi, head to bangkokpodcast.com. And click the little microphone button on the bottom right to leave us a voicemail. We'll play that on the show if it's appropriate. All right. Well, in this episode, we take a cue from one of our listeners who was chatting with us about our early attempts to learn about Thai culture and try to fit in, only to fall face first in an epic fail as our earnest efforts were rebuffed or otherwise thwarted. Now, I think we've all made our fair share of attempts to not stand out so much as foreigners living in Thailand, but sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you manage to miss the mark and make a complete fool of yourself. But as they say, success just means getting up one more time than you fail. So, dear listeners, we thought it might be fun to look back on a few of our biggest cringe moments to hopefully inspire any of you out there who are trying to keep trying until you succeed, or at least, like Ed and I, simply stop being embarrassed when you don't. First of all, a caveat at the beginning here. I'm so sorry to the listener who ever suggested this, but I cannot remember who you are. I checked this. Ed, this is the problem with having so many platforms here. I checked Line, I checked Discord, I checked Facebook, email, Instagram, Patreon.
Oh, and you can't remember where the suggestion came from.
I can't find it anywhere. I don't know where it is. So if it was you who suggested it, let us know and we'll give you a shout out on the next show.
For sure.
Anyway, I think all of us have made this problem, Ed. I'm sure you've got some epic memories just like I do.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt I've had. It's funny when when you suggested this topic. To be honest, when it comes to the big, cringy things, I don't have that many, and I have a possible explanation for why. But I think of it as thousands of tiny cringes, like death by a thousand like small cringes. So I do have stories to tell. Not too many like just horribly embarrassing things, but a lot of smaller things. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's not like I accidentally married a buffalo or something like that, but just silly little things that you look back on and going,
yeah,
like, oh,
sure.
What a noob mistake.
Yeah, for sure. I got it. I got those.
Yeah, what are some of the little ones that I think everyone has the small ones, like just the minor ones that anyone can make. Like it's not so bad.
Well, it's funny when you thought of this, I was trying to brainstorm stuff, and what I realized is a lot of my mistakes are just classic ones that are painful because they're all things that I actually knew already, but when you're not in your culture, just intellectually knowing, oh, I shouldn't do X, it's not instinct, it's not habit. So I made a quick list of classic blunders.
Okay.
And I do think over the years I've done this many fewer times. But I remember in the early days, the first couple of years, where I was really trying to get the habit of wai-ing people. And of course, I know you're only supposed to wai people who are higher status or older than you. But I just remember just many times meeting someone and who wanted to be polite and just instinctually wai-ing them. And then their face looks really confused, like what's going on, because I was obviously older than they were. You know, so,
okay, I see
so
what you're saying, yeah.
it took me a long time to stop the why reflex. You know, because I'm trying to learn something new. I want to why people. I want to be polite. But if you why a person who's just kind of obviously younger than you, it's not. I mean, it's not. I guess it's technically a type of faux pas, but it's not insulting. It's just confusing. And Thai people will look at you baffled, and then typically they'll be like, "Oh, wrong." You know,
yeah,
idiot.
you feel
they'll be like, "Idiot." Yeah, idiot.
You see it at 7-Eleven all the time with foreigners, and they get the change, and they
start
the
why
old guys why the clerk at 7-Eleven or something like that.
Yeah,
it's always a bit of a giggle from the clerk.
Yeah, over wai-ing. So it's an odd thing because you would think under wai-ing would be the main problem, and I'm sure that happens a lot too. But it's a little bit odd because Thai people sometimes, especially dealing with tourists, they don't expect you to wai. So I think not wai-ing is not that bad if you're, especially if you're a tourist, even though that goes against standard advice. I'm going to go out on a limb and say not wai-ing is not that big a deal as a foreigner. But as an expat, like you and I are trying to do as the Romans do, I think if anything, expats over wai. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it might be the equivalent of the Western phrase, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Like if you're not sure about the why, just don't worry about it. Just don't do it. So I think you're right. That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
Under wai-ing is preferable to over wai-ing.
Yeah, more than you would think. I think.
Yeah.
So that's a classic mistake. Another mistake just has to do with things that Thai people are sensitive about, or like personally sensitive. Like you shouldn't touch their head or anything like that, or touch their body with your feet.
Right.
And I just had a distinct memory of this, just because it at the time I was thinking like, wow, this is actually a good little cultural artifact here. And it was just a woman I was with when I was dating, and we were sitting on the couch together, and I clumsily swung my leg around her, and she happened to be turning. I missed. She was turning into it, and I basically I didn't quite kick her in the face, but it's just like basically I slapped my foot into her face. It wasn't physically like damaging or anything, but she was really pissed. But obviously a Western girl would be like, "You clumsy oaf,"
Yeah.
But
right.
She was like, "Why did you do that? Why did you touch me like that?" And I'm like, I didn't know. It was just an accident, whatever. So it actually was very Thai in that she was more upset, I think, than a Western person would be.
Interesting. I something just popped into my head too, and it was a bit of a reverse because my wife did something to me when we were dating, and I got a little bit pissed at her, and she didn't understand why it was a big deal. So we had some noodles at some little street side stall, and at the end of it, she said, "Okay, pay."
Oh,
and it kind of hit me the wrong way, and I was just like, "Don't tell me to just pay for stuff."
Oh, right.
And she was like, "Why not?" And I said, because that's like, there's just such a cliche about men being the ATM card here,
Oh,
and
right,
we were
sure.
just like, we were just months into our relationship. We were just brand new.
Right, yeah.
And it turned into a kind of a big issue. Like she just didn't understand why it was such a big deal. So,
funny.
It goes both ways too.
For sure.
A couple of my early ones were like when I was first living here and I was learning how to count. It took me months to learn how to say 20 and 21, because for those who might be listening who don't know, the word 30 is samsip, 40 sisip, 50 hasip, but 20 is not songsip.
That's right.
It's yisip.
That's right.
Our friend Ricker could probably tell us why. I don't know why. It's just the way it is.
No, that is a classic wrong mistake.
Right. So 31 is samsip nung. 21 is yisip et. And it took me months to not say songsip nung.
Yeah.
I wanted to say 21. And people were looking at me like a total weirdo.
Yeah, that is a classic. That is classic. The other just basic mistake I made, and this is something that even though I know you're not supposed to do it, I was at, I think it was a Wat Po, and it was one of those long days, and towards the end of the day, we were in one of the big temples, and they had some kind of ceremony going on, and I was, sitting on my knees and butt for a while, and then I'm like, I can't do that. And a bunch of foreigners had kind of moved to the total back of the temple and were just sitting there. And so I moved back there, and I just sat down with my back against the back wall, and then stuck my legs out like an idiot because my legs hurt because I was, kind of sitting, I was sitting cross-legged. And then, like a guard had to come over and tell me not to point my foot like towards the, which is such a class. But I knew that, like I know you're not supposed to do that. I just forgot. It's not habitual. Right. Like you can intellectually know the right thing, but it's not habitual. So I consider those types of things that's classic cringe.
Yeah, they're not. We're not even trying to fit in. It's just learning to adapt.
Yeah, just doing dumb mistakes kind of thing.
Yeah, but each of us have a couple of things down here that sort of stand out to us of things that we've sort of made an effort to do or have purposely done, but have turned out to not work out the way we wanted them to work out. So you want me to go first with this?
Yeah, sure.
I've got a few here. Well, I don't know if you know this about me, Ed, but I love cereal.
I do know that. I do know this about you.
Yeah, I want to open a restaurant called Cereal Killer, whatever.
You and our longtime listener Kelly, cereal people.
That's right. And I think a nice big bowl of cereal with really cold milk on a hot day would be like a perfect snack for foreigners. I think Thais would think it's crazy, but anyway. In my first apartment, I had to go and deck it out with bowls and cups and things like this. So
sure.
I went to Tesco, and I was looking at all the bowls, and I was like, I'd like to have a nice big cereal bowl, like not a punch bowl, but bigger than a little bowl that fits in your hands. So I saw some on the counter, some nice plastic bowls, and I picked them up. That's about the right size. I took them home, and I was using them for months with no issues. And then eventually I started dating this girl, and she came over to my place, and she came over in the morning, and I was eating a bowl of cereal, and she looked at my bowl and was this look of horror and embarrassment and confusion came over her face.
So funny.
And unbeknownst to me, I had bought not a cereal bowl, but one of the plastic bowls that you use to scoop water out in the toilet, to dump water.
Oh, the toilet scooping thing. Oh, that's great. Yeah. And those are I could see that would be like a big cereal bowl, but you're a big guy.
Yeah, it's a normal bowl for me. It's none of these little tiny thimbles that the rest of everyone drinks out, eats cereal out.
Oh, that's classic. That's classic.
Yeah, but she's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm eating cereal." She's like, "But that bowl." I'm like, "What? It's a big plastic bowl." And it's not like it was used or anything. It was clean, but it was just
a plastic bowl.
It's just that cultural thing of like, those aren't used for food. Those are used to scoop water in the toilet.
I love it. Classic.
So
classic.
I was very embarrassed.
Well, I got a couple of things that just stick out. They're not, again, I don't have anything too embarrassing, but these just kind of stick out. I'm going to confess something. In general, I'm bad with names. No problem. A lot of people are. But I've gotten better over the years. But when I first got here, and I was teaching, not at my university, but somewhere else, I'm just going to plead guilty. I could not tell my students apart. I know it's the classic thing, like if you're Westerners, all Asians look alike. What I'm going to say, I'm just going to confess. I'm just going to plead guilty. Like like when I got here, it's like my joke was like, all my students are skinny, cute with long black hair. It's like all of them, and then there's one guy, and it's like it's like, and it's just like, I mean, I think I've gotten better over the years, and I know it's not really an excuse, but the first couple of years, I was just like, all of these girls look alike. I'm just going to plead guilty. Like that, I really was like, they all look alike.
Now, your students at university, they wear street clothes or uniforms?
Well, I'm at university, so this is actually pre-university, but my faculty is unique in that we don't have a uniform requirement because we're supposed to be Western style. So at my university, it's easier because they dress differently.
Okay. Yeah, well, because when I was teaching, I couldn't tell my students apart either, but they were all wearing the same uniform.
Brutal.
They had the state mandated haircut.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Well, I was teaching, so the bottom line is, I'm already bad with words on top of this other factor, right? And I was doing a bunch of different teaching. I had 2 different teaching jobs. Actually, at this point, I actually had started teaching not at my current university, but at a different university, and I'd already been in Thailand like 3 or 4 years. So I had a whole bunch of different students, and I was at a party. And like a bunch of foreigners, a bunch of Thai people there. And this girl came up to me with that like look of recognition, like, hey, you know, that thing. And her face totally looked familiar to me, like totally familiar. And I'm like, just trying to place it. I'm like, I was teaching a bunch of different places that are already been a few years. And so I said, did I teach you SAT like 2 years ago?
Uh-huh.
And she looked at me and she goes, I was in your TOEFL class last night.
You
And
dumbass.
I was just like, oh shit. That's bad. But I mean, I was like, she was so familiar, but it was like from the night before.
That's so funny.
I was trying to be clever. I'm like, you were in my SAT class, weren't you? Like two years ago? Something. I was like, so I was like so far off.
I'm just kidding. Of course I knew that.
Yeah, I'm not that slick to like do that. So it's bad, you know. The name. So now I, you know, whether it's the film club, the blues bar at the university, you know how people joke that like, you know someone's vegan because they tell you when they meet you. You know,
Right. They stand next to you at the urinal and go, "Hey, I'm vegan."
Now I'm just like, hey, I'm bad with names like that. I just confess. As soon as I meet people, I'm just so I don't even try to remember names anymore.
You should turn that into a little bit. So, hey, I'm Steve. Hey, nice to meet you, Rob. Just to let you know, I'm real bad with names.
I basically do. I more or less do that. Or well, you know, there'll be people at the film club who I've been seeing for years, and they know that I don't know their name, and I don't even try anymore.
That's funny. Well, my second one was something it was potentially a little bit more serious than that. And this was back when I was teaching, and I was at a summer camp with a bunch of other teachers, and we had to put on a skit for the students. Teachers had to put on a fun little skit.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it was like me and 2 or 3 other foreign teachers, and then 3 or 4 other of the Thai teachers. And I had gotten to know this one girl. We had worked on a project together, this one Thai teacher, and we had become quite friendly, and we were having a good time. And so we did this little skit on stage, and there was, 50 or 60 kids in the audience from all ages, from like, grade 3 all the way up to sort of teenagers. And at the end of the skit, we did a little dance. So we're jumping around on stage, and we're wearing silly costumes and stuff and waving our arms around like that. And just as the song ended, I thought it would be really funny because the part of the skit was that like it was a bit of a flirty dance, like the guys were flirting with the girls and making jokes about it. And I thought it'd be really funny to give the girl, like the girl that I knew, a little kiss on the cheek, like a peck, like
Jeez,
like that. And I don't know whether I was just way bigger than her or I was too excited, but I sort of grabbed her and essentially just like pulled her and almost like violently towards me and kissed her cheek.
Oh shit! So and it was more awkward than you expected it to be.
It was very awkward, and afterwards, I didn't notice it at the time because I didn't know. I thought it was just like a cute little kiss on the cheek, and I was caught up in the moment. And then afterwards, another teacher came to me quietly, and they're like, "Yeah, that was actually really, really bad and embarrassing for her. You shouldn't have done that." And I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, man, like public displays of affection, especially like with kids around, where they're going to be very concerned about maintaining status.
Yes, exactly. They do not fly here. And I had no idea about any of this contextual stuff. So I like for the rest of the 2 weeks I was there, I was just like so ashamed, and I couldn't face this woman, and I just sort of hung my head whenever I walked around. I felt terrible.
Brutal.
Because it was almost like to the point of like violating her personal space and publicly embarrassing her.
Well, you were being spontaneous. You were trying to be creative.
I guess I was. It came from a good place, but culturally, mega fail.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Well, mine is a Thai language mistake, of which I have many, of course, but they tend to be small, like we've talked about before. But this one was, I just remember it being particularly painful because I like tried to stand my ground and argue that I was right. And you know how, because I do think sometimes, we actually talked about this before, but I do think sometimes the mistake is not necessarily my mistake. The other person is a bad listener. I think that's possible. As a foreigner, you should always take the burden and assume that the Thai person is right. You should do that. But but I was stubborn. And this was just a particularly embarrassing thing because I remember being very insistent about this, and I was totally wrong. And actually the mistake is huge because the two words I was confusing, although in English, if you spelled them out, they would look similar. Like the tones are opposite. Like one of them is like a falling tone. The other one was like a rising tone. So they sound like completely different. But I completely screwed it up and like stood my ground and like stubbornly argued that I was right. And so it boils down to this. I was hanging out with a girl who was from Ampurwa. Ampurwa, yeah. Now, Ampurwa is famous for a whole bunch of things, but I did not know this at the time. But it's actually famous for fireflies at night.
Sure, I've seen them.
Yeah.
Very, very underwhelming.
I think I saw them with you when we did a bike ride down there, but this was before that. So I didn't know anything about this. And this girl was from Ampurwa, and she was talking about the fireflies. And now this is actually a quite difficult thing, and I won't be able to pronounce it correctly. So completely ignore my tones. That's the whole problem. But a firefly is something like hing-hoy. Hing-hoy.
Okay. I think I know where this is going.
Yeah. And I just heard hoy, which is similar to a Thai word for like a shellfish or like a clam or a mollusk.
Sure. And
I kept telling her that I like to eat those. So this is when I was eating meat and seafood. So I was like, chop gin, and she's like, no, it's not a clam. Like I'm not talking about clams. I'm talking about like fireflies. I'm like, but she's trying to do it in Thai, and I'm like, no, chop gin. I really like eating fireflies, And so listeners, I'm going to have Mr. Greg, who usually does the editing. He's going to upload a very short, quick clip for you guys. And it's just going to be the two hoys next to each other. Since I can't do it properly. So here's the audio clip.
Hing-hoy. Hoy.
Now, back to back, they really sound nothing like each other, but that just shows you how bad my Thai was and maybe still is. And then I stood my ground that I really like to eat fireflies.
Well, there's another potential layer of embarrassment there too, because of course that hoy
yes,
is a slang term for something else.
Something intimate. Yeah, so there's that also. So there's multiple layers of embarrassment when she was just trying to say like, oh yeah, we have a lot of fireflies where I'm from.
So you were not only mansplaining to her, you were
I was
language explaining to her.
That's right. Yeah, it was just a disaster all around, and it just shows you, no matter how sure you are, you should defer to someone in their native language. That's just a golden rule. Just do it.
That's what I've said recently, man. Many, many times now. It turns out I complain about something or someone. Why can't they do it this way? This is so stupid. The system is dumb. And then it turns out I'm the idiot. More often than not, the problem is with me.
Well, that's this show, the Cringe show. So there you go.
Well, I think we're only going to do two each, but Ed, do you mind if I do one more bonus one here to finish things off?
Sure, go for it.
So this is something that I was a victim of back in my early days, again, when I was teaching. And you'll notice a theme here, listeners. A lot of these things happened in our very early days. So I guess that hints that Ed and I have successfully integrated to a greater degree than we used to. So I guess the data shows that we're on the right path, because we haven't had too many recent cringes.
Correct.
But this was when I used to wait for a bus down at Ratchatewi Station. I caught the number 16 bus up to Bankrabu. And one morning I was sitting there, and sometimes the bus would come right away. Sometimes I'd wait 5 minutes. Sometimes I'd wait 30 minutes. It really depended on the traffic. So one day I was sitting there, and I was brand new. I'd been in Thailand I'd been in Bangkok about 3 months at this point. And I was sitting there waiting for the bus, and this random homeless guy, ripped clothes and covered head to toe in dirt. His hair was all messed up, smelling. Random homeless guy came up to me and tapped me on the shoulder, and he was motioning for me to stand up. And I just sort of was like, no, no thanks, whatever, I'm not interested. And I just sort of ignored him. And he became very insistent, and he kept tapping my shoulder, and he was looking around.
He was like coming from behind you, or?
He walked right up to me on my side. I was sitting on a little bench.
Oh, okay.
He walked up to me from my right-hand side, and he was looking around, and he was trying to find like someone to talk to or point something. And he was pointing at the road, and he was pointing at me, and he was trying to get me to stand up. And I'm like, well, this guy's crazy. Does he want money? Does he want family? Like, leave me alone. Go away, homeless guy.
Yeah, right.
And it was a good minute of this guy getting increasingly agitated.
Right.
And I'm kind of wondering, like, is this guy mentally disturbed? Is he going to pull out a knife and stab me or something like that? So finally, someone came up to me and in very broken English said that the Royal Motorcade was about to pass right in front of us.
Oh, geez.
and this guy was just trying to do his duty as a Thai citizen, like stand for the Royal Motorcade. Yeah. And I was like, leave me alone, idiot.
Leave me alone, idiot.
And I kind of wonder what would happen if I had just like, they drove by and this lone farang was sitting down. Can you imagine just?
Well, that's a mistake you don't want to make. But again,
Exactly.
it's funny. I have some sympathy for us, even though we're clearly in the wrong in all of these cases. It's just hard. It's just hard when it's not your instinct.
Right. Exactly. Like my wife and telling me to pay. She didn't know that there was an extra level of context there.
That's right.
Might be taken out of turn. So there you go.
Correct.
Anyway, listeners, we know we're not the only ones. So if you feel like it, send us your faux pas.
Yeah, let us know
which
your
mistakes you made.
cringy things. The more you talk about them, the better you'll feel. It's therapy.
That's right. Free therapy. All right, let's get into some love, loathe, or live with, where one of us picks a particular aspect of living in Bangkok, which we discuss to decide if it's something that we love about living here, loathe about living here, or have come to accept as something that we just have to learn to live with, no matter how we feel about it. This week, Ed, what do you got for me?
All right, Mr. Greg. So I'm not sure you've encountered this. I've encountered it several times, and it's not an issue now for me because I'm vegetarian. But I'm a little bit surprised at how many people eat this. I do think it's more of an Isan thing, but what do you think about essentially it's basically eating rats or what like I remember my buddy who brought some of this to a barbecue. I'm like, dude, what? It was like stretched like between the twigs, And I'm like, dude, what is that? He goes, it's a field mouse. And I'm like, you mean a rat? It's like, it's a field mouse. It's like Thai, and like, his Thai girlfriend was like, oh, this is delicious, like Alroy Mak. And, and it's basically a rat. Do you eat rat?
I never have.
Oh, you never have?
But
Ask
I
your
wouldn't
wife.
say no.
I bet your wife has. I'm not saying anything about your wife. I'm just saying she's Thai. Thai people eat everything.
Well, she hasn't eaten any fireflies.
Not that you know of. You never know. She might be a firefly eater.
We've all got secrets. I've never knowingly eaten it, but I wouldn't say no to it. I also wouldn't go looking for it.
Well, I can say when I was eating meat and I was offered rat, I was not down. I'm actually not a very adventurous eater. Maybe that's why I ended up being vegetarian. So even when I loved eating meat, but I was not one of those guys who was like, hey, let's eat the scorpions on Khao San Road. I was not that guy.
I've eaten the grasshoppers, the worms.
Oh, you have? There you are. Jesus. So you are one of those.
I am one of those. Yeah, I've eaten. When Scott and I were in Japan, we went out for an epic meal one night. We ate chicken ovaries.
Oh, jeez.
And horse sashimi.
Nope. Okay, yeah, totally different. Even when I was eating meat, I was eating chicken, pork, beef, like a normal person.
Yeah, I wouldn't, like, if I saw a stall on the side of the road, I'd have to be pretty hungry to stop and eat it. But if someone gave it to me and said, try it, I would.
It's basically a rat stretched between twigs, and it looks like a big rat.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd see if there's anything else to eat first.
It tastes like chicken, though, Greg, I'm sure.
Everything does, yeah. So that would probably be a live with for me, bordering on loathe. So.
All right, loathe for me.
Yeah. Ugh.
All right, a final thanks to our patrons who support the show. Patrons get a ton of cool perks and the warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that they're helping in our never-ending quest for cool content. Find out more by clicking support on our website. And connect with us online. We're Bangkok Podcast on social media, bangkokpodcast.com on the web, or simply bangkokpodcast@gmail.com. We love to hear from our listeners and ours reply to our messages.
True that. You can also listen to each episode on the YouTube. So send us a voicemail through our website that we'll feature on the show. Hit me up on Blue Sky. I'm BKK Greg. Thank you for listening, everyone. We'll see you back here next week.
No doubt.